Let's begin with the continuation of Panchatantra. Today, Mrs. Ramaswamy narrates the tale of the birds and the sea.
Good morning, I'm Aparna Ramaswamy and welcome to another narration of the Panchatantra. Today's episode is The Birds and the Sea. Once upon a time, right along the ocean, there lived on a tree two birds. And one day the female bird asks her mate, "How do I lay eggs here? What if it's high tide and the ocean comes in and our birds go away?" And the male says, "Don't you worry about that. The ocean knows our strength. He's not going to come and mess with us. He's not going to take our eggs away. So go ahead and lay those eggs exactly where you want it. This is our home." The female is a little hesitant. She says, "Listen, we should not do things that are foolish. We should really think about this and try to be cautious before we act." She says, "Don't you know the story of the turtle and the geese?" And the male says, "What's that story?" So she says, "Well, once upon a time there was a lake, and there was a turtle that lived there, and a couple of geese that lived in the lake. Now over time, the rains didn't come, and the lake started getting dried up. And these geese go up to the turtle and say, 'Well, what do? We want to carry you across to another lake, but how do we do that?' And the turtle says, 'What if you hold a stick between both of your beaks? I'll hold on, I'll clamp on with my mouth in the stick, and that way you can carry me.' The geese said, 'Well, you love to talk. Are you going to be able to keep your mouth shut till we get across to that side?' And the turtle says, 'Well, I know if this is something that's going to be dangerous to me, I'll remember to keep my mouth closed. I know how to be careful.' So the geese are a little skeptical, but they say, 'Okay, fine, we don't have a choice, let's take him.' So they hold a stick between their beaks, the turtle clamps onto that stick, and they start flying across from the lake to another new one in search of water. Now, as they are flying across, people on the ground look up and see this absolutely amazing, unusual sight. And they say, 'Oh my God, look there, there's a little turtle flying there.' Now, this turtle is so caught up in the moment that he wants to respond to them and say, 'Yeah, look at this,' and he wants to share his story. He forgets to keep his mouth closed. And the moment he opens it, of course, he falls right to the rocks and dies. Now, the bird telling the story says, 'Well, we have to be careful. We can't just do whatever we want and then expect life to work out for us.' She says, 'Don't you know that when you have forethought and you plan, just like the three fish, there are things that you have to be considering about?' Please join us next time for the next episode of The Three Fish.